Hello, happy Wednesday. Welcome to Live Inspired Stories of Inspiration and Transformation. Today, I have a very special guest who I could probably talk to for a couple of hours because he's just got such a great story and so many beautiful insights. His name is Adam Miller. Adam, over the last several years, has lost over 100 pounds and now helps people to have a healthy lifestyle. And he's absolutely inspirational. Someone very dear to me introduced me to Adam, and he made it a really huge impact for positive in her life. So I would like to bring Adam Miller in here with us today. Welcome, Adam. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's exciting.
Well, I just always like to start out with just talking about what was your life like before. Here you are, you're super buff, you're very healthy, you help other people do this, but what was your life like before?
Oh, well, gosh, before I lost all my weight, it was the word that comes is uncomfortable. Didn't feel good. Of course, with being overweight, like low self-esteem, low confidence, I just didn't have that confidence in myself, really. But the biggest thing, I just didn't feel good. I grew up and was overweight my whole youth, and I finally started losing all my weight in my early 20s. But yeah, I just really sluggish, just low energy. I mean, I know a lot of people who struggle with the weight loss journey can relate to it. It's just you don't sleep well. Um, you just have low energy throughout the day. It's just very uncomfortable. The bottom line.
And did you, when you were feeling that, when you were feeling uncomfortable, when you were really overweight, did you think to yourself, if I just lose this weight, this will fix itself? Or was there just not that awareness? Did you tell me about that, how you felt and how you decided that you were going to release that weight?
Well, it was like really unaware of like what foods at the time could do because there wasn't really like what the education or the information that's out there now with weight loss and such. I know like, hey, if you exercise, you're gonna lose all this weight. Well, as growing up on a farm, having all the great food, my mom was an awesome cook, great big meals, and I learned how to bake early on. So I like bake cookies and everything, and learned how to cook. So I had no idea that I mean, I was overeating, way overeating on the amount of calories I was burning compared to my total daily energy expenditure throughout the day. So I was working on the farm. I grew up doing martial arts. I was active in wrestling. I wrestled heavyweight, but I just was consuming so much food that I had no idea. I was just really unaware of like, okay, well, I'm gonna burn this off by working out, and that was the only knowledge that I knew. And my family, we're all very active, growing up on the farm and worked hard, but just really didn't know what it took to get there. So it pretty much just I was eating a ton of food, but I was working out. I was really in shape for as big of a kid as I was, or for as big as I was. But that's what really, I loved fitness, I loved PE, but I just didn't have the knowledge behind the eating to like lose the weight. So at the point I was unaware, and then as I went on, I started to realize there's one point when I was in high school, I lost a lot of weight. I lost about 30, 40 pounds. I was like, oh, I was eating less. And it just kind of dawned on me, okay, well, I'm going to cut back on what I eat, sort of. But then again, I went and I lost 40 pounds. I'm okay. I can go back to my eating the way I was. So I went right back to that and put it all right back on and then some. Um, and then after I graduated high school, I started working at Micron, and I was working nights, go to school, so I was eating a lot of food at nights. And then I switched to a day shift, and then I started eating less and less, and working and having to pay rent payment and everything, so not a whole lot of money for groceries. So I started eating less, and I kind of stumbled onto it and like realized, oh, I'm eating less. So I started losing the weight, and finally kind of just stumbled onto it, and I started feeling better. I was working out all the time, but then the weight really started to come off, and it came off fairly quickly, um, just in the fact of reducing the amount of food I was eating. But even then, I still didn't really know what I was doing at the time, but I just like, oh, I'm losing weight. I feel better. And then my interest in fitness started to gain even more ground, especially in the nutrition. I really started getting fascination with digging into nutrition more, especially with the weight loss process. And of course, I was more in the kind of technical field at Micron. Um, but that also brings me to the point of becoming a coach, the weight loss, and started coaching at a gym before while I was working at Micron, and that was a lot of fun. And really started working with people in the gym, and I was helping a gal do deadlifts, and I helped her increase her deadlift max, and she was super excited about it and say, okay, this is what I want to do. That's what got me in the coaching and doing personal coaching. And then the education with the food, the relationship with food and weight loss and fitness, that's where I really started to gain ground in my knowledge. And went to taking classes, ISSA, NASM, and just a lot of like personal study and growth. And that to where I'm at now at Fit Body Boot Camp in Meridian is just a phenomenal team. I mean, we have a great team there. It's very well educated. And just looking at through my experience of creating a sustainable lifestyle, you can look back and see like there's a lot of these like short-term fixes, like 21 days you can lose so much weight, or there's like these really um, extreme programs in like a short amount of time you can lose all that weight. Yes, you can lose all that weight. It's a super calorie deficit weight loss program, but it's not sustainable. So many people will lose the weight, yeah, and they pay all this money, but it's not sustainable. They're not getting the proper coaching afterwards, and so on. So they lose this weight. Oh, hey, yeah, it worked, but the fact that they have to go back to it again to do it again means it's not working. And that's one thing I really love about what we're doing at Fit Body Boot Camp is, or that I could be able to bring to the table, is that we get to really look at sustainability, like looking at foods that are good investments versus like poor investment foods. So we're looking at more coaching people on like nutrient dense foods versus like calorie dense foods. So they're calorie dense foods like your cookies and stuff like that, pizza. We really want to look at foods that like, well, these are more nutrient dense. One, you're going to feel better, and just have an overall feeling of well-being. I mean, it really is the foods, the relationship with food that's really going to make the difference. And the biggest thing is I've learned you can't out-train a bad diet. I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place here, but this
Love
is
it.
all.
And I want to come back to a couple of things,
Yeah,
but keep on going. Yeah. You can't work out a bad
right.
diet. You just said, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't, because I mean, you can train like 5, 6 days a week, and if you don't change the one thing, your eating habits, the weight is not going to come off. You will lose some weight. Yeah, some people say, well, I lost 10 pounds, but then they put it right back on, or they do this program and work out and lose a little bit of weight, or they'll do these crash diets. Like, there's so much misinformation out there that are not healthy choices for um, weight loss. In all reality, when I lost my weight, I was eating carbs, I was eating protein, I was eating fats. I mean, I was eating all of those things. Of course, there's keto out there that has demonized carbs, and carbs are not bad for you at all. It
Thank you.
really is calories in, calories out. So when we coach people, or what I like to coach people with as well, is like you can have these foods, you just have to have them within, a calorie deficit. You can still have, let's say, if you want to have that beer, you just have to, you can like trade out a carb for that beer or whatever. It's just we don't want to like deprive people. You want to set them up for long-term success, sustainable lifestyle, and the weight comes off slowly so they can keep it off. I mean, I've been able to keep my weight off for about over 20 years, and it's just having the knowledge of what it takes to get there and to keep it off. And it is hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's. I mean, with all the goodies out there, carbs are all over the place. I mean, there's all kinds of like, not carbs are not bad, but like sugary stuff, like sweets. You can go to a convenience store and just, it's so easy to grab things. And a lot of it's comfort, especially around the dinner table. That's the time where we gather, and a lot of our society is wrapped around food, like Thanksgiving, barbecues, everything like that.
Yeah.
So the relationship food, a lot of people just, I mean, when you go to a barbecue, start drinking, you start eating more. So it's just being self-aware of how much you're eating, and just how much you're consuming, what it really comes down to. I mean, you can enjoy life still and not have to deprive yourself. It's just a matter of like, okay, let's set, I'm going to have this many calories throughout the day. And then when I'm done, I'm done. And of course, you're going to be hungry. There's going to be, you know, struggles. You're going to have those ups and downs. You're going to hit those walls. You're going to lose weight. You're going to put it back on. But the thing is, what I learned is you learn to like, okay, yeah, I slipped up. I fell off the wagon today, but tomorrow's a new day. I can get right back on track. So it's just a matter of being consistent day in and day out. And weight loss takes time. That's the biggest thing too. It's not going to change overnight. It's not going to happen 21 days or like in a certain amount of short period of time. If you have a lot of weight to lose, expect a year or two, and expect about a year. If you have 100 pounds to lose, give it a year or even 2 years, and that's okay. It takes time. And when you take that time and that amount of time, it's way more rewarding than like learning to lose it in such a short amount of time and you put it right back on because you just it's just not sustainable. So there's a lot of I'll honestly say a lot of horrible like diets out there on the internet that are just like that. I think that really that people are out to make quick money on people who are overweight. Oh, hey, you can do this quick fix, and it's not. Yeah, it is a quick fix, but it's not sustainable. So there's a lot of programs out there that I really feel that kind of prey on those people. I don't know if that's the right word I would use, but I mean they really utilize like people that are really weight struggling. Oh, hey, you can lose this weight really quick. They pay a lot of money. Yeah, you lose, let's say, 30 pounds, but there's no, reverse dieting. There's no education how to keep it off. And then people get fixated on trying to live the lifestyle of that deficit or that little amount of food that's not sustainable and it becomes frustrating. So people give up and it's like, I don't know. So there's a lot to it that so many different components to it.
Yeah, uh, trial and error. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I'd love for you to talk just a little bit more about the relationship with food and how your relationship with food has changed. Because, you talk about being fit as a teenager because, you were involved in sports, you worked on a farm, you were active, but still overweight because of the relationship you had with food. So I'd love for you to talk just a little bit more about how that relationship has evolved and changed over the years from being obese to being super fit.
Well, the biggest thing, I loved sweets, like cookies and anything that tastes. It just made you feel good, made you feel happy, or made me feel happy and feel good because I love those things. And of course, like I would have those, and I wouldn't, I didn't feel good. I'd get like fog brain and like have like ADD, and such like that. And the biggest turning point for me with food is just reducing just switching to nutrient dense foods. Like when I would have like, let's say if you have like greens, a good protein and a good carb versus like really sugary foods. Cause you look in foods anywhere you go, it's just all full of sugar. I mean, you go to restaurants, you look at, they put so much sugar in everything. And then of course sugar, you get inflammation. You just don't feel good. And the biggest part for me was learning how I felt, like changing. It was hard at first. I mean, yeah, I didn't like the taste of the foods, but I realized, hey, I feel really good on this. And again, I was very fortunate to just kind of stumble onto it, where I know some people really struggle with the relationship. Oh, this tastes good, or that tastes horrible, or I can't live without my wine, or I can't live without my cookies. You can still it just really when you it takes about a couple weeks to get rid of those sugar cravings. If the person can remove those and start incorporating like really nutrient dense foods, that you'll know have more energy, you have more mental clarity. I know I did. I realized all of those things, and that was the big turning point for me. It was just coming to the realization of how food made me feel. I really like how they tasted, but then I really didn't like how the ones that taste good made me feel. Now the foods that I can go without sugar very easily now. Like I haven't had a candy bar, gosh, in forever. I mean, I still have my sweets. Like I'll have, that like we went up to Big Sky a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, I had ice cream. I had pizza. I had all the good food. I had beer. We had a good time. I mean, I put on a little weight when it went, but I did not feel good. I felt like tired and fatigued. When I came back, I got right back on track and getting to working out with the classes at Fit Body Boot Camp and with our members, and then just getting right back on my eating. And within a few days, I felt great again. And just learning the relationship on how foods made me feel. And that's one thing that I'd really encourage people to do is look at how you feel. Like, so you start eating good foods. It's hard. It sucks at first. It's not easy. But once you start eating good foods, make you feel better, and you start working out, it just all comes into play. You start to feel better. You start to sleep better, and you just feel better all the way around. Better mood, more energy throughout the day, and just really just pay attention on how things make you feel, because a lot of people may not be aware of how they feel. I know I wasn't. I didn't realize how sluggish and tired I was all the time, eating like high sugar foods and all the goodies that are out there, fast food and everything.
Yeah, real. And one other thing that you said that I'd like to talk about just a little bit more, and then I would like to hear just in the last few minutes, uh, just your secret sauce, your superpower, and also I want just last minute words of wisdom. But before we do that, I'm just guiding until we get there. I love the terminology you used when you talked about a good investment food or a poor investment food. I love that word investment because when we think of investing, we think about money and thinking about a return on investment when we invest that money. So you're talking about that with food. I think you've already covered it, but I just want to be really, really clear because I love that mindset of I'm eating this and is it a good investment or a poor investment? So if you could just talk a couple more minutes about that.
Sure, absolutely. Well, if like poor investment foods are like let's say your processed foods, like your box foods, yeah, you can still have them if you're eating them in limited quantities, but you'll be very hungry, and there's not very much nutrients in those foods, so it's not a good investment in your body.
So you're
So
not
people,
getting a return on that.
yeah, so you just don't feel good. So if I'm going to invest in my health and feel better, I just look at like if you want a good carb, like good rice, sweet potatoes, red potato, just simple foods like and a lot of green veggies. Like the more I know, a lot of people, oh God, veggies suck. That's a hard one for a lot of people. But the more green veggies you eat, the better you're gonna feel. And I eat red meat. I eat all the protein. I mean, I no issues with that at all. And I encourage people, because there's a lot of great vitamins and minerals in protein, and you need those to sustain. The more muscle you build, the easier it is in the weight loss process. I'm not saying like build muscle like a bodybuilder by any means, but the more muscle you put on, the higher your metabolic rate is, and the easier it is to keep the weight off. So it's just putting those good foods, and it's very simple. Shop outside the ring of the grocery store, like your veggies, your proteins that are on the outside of the grocery store. Um, and a lot of people will say, "Well, it's expensive to eat healthy," and it's really not. If you really put it on paper, I mean, you might have to go to the grocery store more, but it's not too expensive. But it's worth that investment to buy those foods. If they are more expensive, it's worth it. It's like you want to buy do you want to have a car that'll only go like 500 miles, or do you want a car that's going to last you like 10 years? It's just like, it's the same with food. It's like you invest your money into a good house, you want a well-built house. Well, that's what you're doing with your body when you put like good food in your body. You're going to be more mobile. You're going to feel better. And to me, like, yeah, we're all going to die someday, but I'd rather go out with my boots on. I've heard that argument before. We're going to die anyway. It's like, yeah, I know that, but I want to go out with my boots on. I want to feel good. I don't want to have tubes and everything. If that's what you want, and to be in a wheelchair running around, and that's fine. That's up to you. I'm not telling anybody how to live their lifestyle, but If they want coaching, we'll give it to them to help them prevent that. And that's where the good investment foods come into play, is like just having a quality of life. Whether, if, let's say I get a car wreck tomorrow, I'd rather be happy eating all these good foods and feel good, and and have a quality life, versus like, okay, well, I'm, being sick is expensive. It's so I'd rather be healthy than ill. So it's just, that's where the term that we use is like good investment foods. The less sugar reduces inflammation in your joints, your body. And so good quality food is just like buying a good quality car, or like a really nice home. Just things like that is the best way to look at it.
I love that so much, Adam. For me, that's one of the biggest takeaways from talking with you, is really thinking about it as an investment. We take a lot of care in where we are investing our money. And
Yeah.
so using that analogy to how we're investing in our bodies with the foods that we're eating and the activity we're participating in, to me, next time I want to go for, and I eat pretty healthy, but my daughter's a really good cook. I like the cookies sometimes, but that's a question I'm going to ask myself: is this an investment in myself?
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Exactly.
listening to this is like, that is golden, Adam. Golden. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I just, do you have just 30 seconds advice, hope that you can give to people?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing I could say is just being consistent. No matter how long the weight loss process takes, just stay consistent with your workouts, with your food, and just, you know, be diligent with it. I mean, there's really no secret behind weight loss, really. I mean, there's no magic pills. It takes work, it takes effort, and it takes time and patience. I know a lot of people, they want it right now. The biggest thing I say: be patient with yourself, and remember, when you're doing it for yourself. You can't do it for somebody else, even for your kids. I mean, you have to invest in yourself and take care of yourself, so you can take care of your family, your kids, and so on. And the biggest advice I would get is just stay consistent with yourself. Write down your goals. Set short-term goals. Like, let's say, hey, in a month, I'm going to lose 2 to 3 pounds, and then it will just continue to grow. And then let's say in 3 months, I want 15 pounds, or like 6 months, 20 pounds, and so on. Just set those short-term goals to get there. And if you fall off the wagon, it's a new day the next day. Get right back on and keep going. The biggest thing is do not give up and be consistent.
Awesome. Adam, it has been an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah.
And you can contact him. There's a link in the description of this video. And thank you, Adam. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next Wednesday.